The last couple days you've been working on finding roots of equations or zeros of functions by factoring. And sometimes a quadratic equation cannot be factored. When that is the case, you may use a technique called completing the square to find the root. Now let's just, as a reminder over here, write a couple of things down. X squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. If we want to find the value for x that makes this entire equation equal to 0, we call those roots. If we have function notation, f of x equals x squared plus 2x plus 1, we call the solutions zeros. Now there are a few steps to completing the square, and we're just going to do part of them today, and then you'll finish it up tomorrow. Okay, so here's a little box you can look at or refer back to. A very important thing when completing the square is that the coefficient, so the number in front of the x squared term, must be 1. And if it's not, you either have to make an adjustment or you can't complete the square until you do. So to complete the square and write the resulting expression as a binomial squared, the first thing that we have to do is we want to make sure that we're in standard form. So the x squared term is first, and then the x to the first term is second. If we look back up here, we want to take b divided by 2 and square it. So this is our a, this is our b. We're going to divide this by 2, and then we square it. So this is 4 divided by 2 squared. So that'll give us 2, and we square it to get 4. Okay, now it says we want it as a binomial, so we want 2 terms squared. So that means we're going to have x, and it's either going to be plus or minus a number. That's 2 terms, and then it's going to be squared. Okay, the way that we write it as a binomial squared is we go to the first term and we take the square root. The square root of x squared is just x. We always use the first sign, so that comes down here as plus. And then we take the square root of the last term, which is just going to be 2. And then we're going to put parentheses around this and square it. This is the binomial part, and then it's squared. Now I always have people ask me, okay, well, you took the square root of the x squared, so I understand this. You took the square root of the 4, so I understand that. But what happens to the 4x? Well, math is a lot about rewriting things. So if I take this and I square it, now remember this is not x squared plus 4, it's x plus 2 times x plus 2. So when we FOIL this, that's going to be x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4. Or x squared plus 4x plus 4. So the 4x is still in here, it's just hidden. We've just rewritten that. So whatever your binomial squared is, it has to equal whatever you started with. We've, again, just rewritten it. All right, now we're going to complete the square and write this one as a binomial squared. So this one is going to be, we always take the b term, 16 divided by 2, and square it, and then we take this sign and bring it down. So this is going to be 16 divided by 2 is 8, squared is 64, and now we're going to take the square root of this, square root of this, and we're going to write the x down and the 8, and you always take this sign right here. So that's going to be minus, and then we always have to square it. So that would be x minus 8 times x minus 8. And if you FOIL that out, you're going to get this polynomial. Okay, you have a couple of you try it to solve.